come and gone, and the staff is yet on another hiatus until Season 4 is aired. Looking over the episodes and taking in a strong initiation, how does the season hold up? Was it really as bad as people said it was? Is it really considered to be the worst of the series? Well, no, I wouldn't want to go that far. You could argue in saying that, yeah, there's no denying the fact that in comparison to the other two seasons, it's admittedly the weakest. Did the series not make much of a direction for most of the main six? Was it really true that the majority of the episodes were pretty rushed, especially the second half? All signs point to yes, but not all of it was a miss. While it may have a lot of room for improvement, you can't really dwell on the flaws of the season. While there were 13 episodes instead of 26, I personally half expected the episodes to be better on quality since there may have been a lot more time on their hands. But alas, that wasn't the case since Hasbro has been pushing on them and marketing the toys, so it's been a difficult situation for DHX to handle. They had to continue on pursuing the episodes without a moment's opportunity to balance out the quality as best they can. But the staff is very well aware of what to make, so they do everything they can to make sure that the quality is still sustainable. With what Hasbro commits to, the writers are sure enough and capable of moving around the blocks that could potentially lead the series in the wrong direction. And you have to admit, that's a pretty difficult task for them to accomplish overall. Now, on Hasbro's behalf, while I have admittedly been pointing fingers at them, they have their reasons for their doings. Whenever they sell the toys, the products will eventually be dated by the amount of people buying them. And when almost every kid on the block has that toy, the chances are they will no longer be marketable, and thus they have to make another product. In this case, Twilight as an Alicorn may have been their best option for that kind of reason, which even though it affects the series, it's their marketing campaign as it still exceeds. As much as I hate bringing this up, and since Lauren Faust would probably be pissed off hearing about this, the truth of the matter is, the purpose of the show being a toy-selling campaign is really inevitable. Now, I'm not trying to defend Hasbro here, but I'm just pointing this out as an understanding between the two. But to advise on Hasbro, they should at least be more aware of what they're doing to the show if they plan more of another marketing strategy. Like that's ever gonna happen. Now with that said, what was my issue with Season 3? Well, for starters, most of the time, there were a lot of missed opportunities. There are several examples, but I'll only name a few since I don't want to use too much time here ranting about this. The first example was King Sombra in the Crystal Empire. Most of us know he was a huge letdown because of how underplayed he really was. Truth be told, however, in a discussion with Dusty Cat, writer Megan McCarthy intended to write this character as an inspiration from King Sauron from Lord of the Rings, which in short wanted this character to be made as a mysterious sense of darkness in the background. I'd accept that, but Megan, the problem here is that you already had him set up as a physical character. Look, he even faces shining armor and disables his horn in the blizzard. In Lord of the Rings, while Sauron had a form of existence and even a backstory, his power was only in the ring that needed to be tossed in the fiery pits of Mordor. He was a spiritual presence who was capable of putting psychological conflicts in Frodo and Sam, and even Bilbo as it was held in their possession. This results in a background sense of darkness. In the Crystal Empire, the only psychological conflict was when Twilight stumbled upon her greatest fear, and that was only a trapdoor being set up. If something like this was the cause, I would have loved to have seen that done from Sombra himself in his spiritual form and not a giant ball of gas. Additionally, what would have made him a lot more mysterious is if not even Celestia knows about him. The disappearance of the Crystal Empire could be held as a mystery itself instead of making Sombra a dead giveaway through his backstory. This could have also exploded on Twilight's test as she was intended to provide protection for the Crystal Empire. In the case of Magic Duel, I'll admit that I have been very picky on this episode while everyone else loved it. But I'm not the only one who had issues with this episode. As I bring up another reviewer, Strabaskunk pointed out the humor was deteriorating the potential tone of the episode. After watching his review, it's exactly what my problem was. The humor was overused and it ruined a lot of potential. When I was talking about the fight scenes between Trixie and Twilight, I wasn't expecting actual laser beams according to the comments. I was expecting actual fighting. And I know some of you would already tell me that it's too much to ask for since it's a show for a younger audience. I'd accept that if not for the finale of Season 2. If the writers in A Canterlot Wedding can pull this off, I see no problem adding this kind of level here. Now this of course brings up the topic in which I feel the viewers could be suspicious about on my reviews. Am I really expecting the show to get dark, violent beyond boundaries? Am I really expecting characters to die like when I talked about AJ's parents? Absolutely not! That really deteriorates the show's overall tone. It's supposed to be lighthearted and colorful, which is also a different perspective on how there's a form of escapism from reality. I'm not really expecting as much as you think I am, but I am expecting the show to take risks. Season 2 did that, and to this day, I still enjoy watching those episodes. Hurricane Fluttershy still gets me emotionally invested into Fluttershy's struggles about past fears and putting them behind you to move on. Lesson 0 felt almost like an Invader Zim episode, as it also carved out new grounds for the characters to develop and expand the show. And A Canterlot Wedding. Need I say more? As many have pointed this out before, just because it's a show for kids doesn't mean you talk down to them. With Season 3, it almost felt like that. However, it didn't go that far, and there have been some risks that have been taken, but just not as many. So setting aside many of the shortcomings, there's still some that has been accomplished. While it may not have achieved on all the character motives, it has made stepping stones for Rainbow Dash by having her proceed her goal to become a Wonderbolt. That's something I've been waiting a long time for, and I was finally glad to see that continue. Plus, Scootaloo had her very own episode for once, and a very meaningful one as well. It served what was needed for both the connections between her and Dash, and I do hope to see more of that. This to me makes up for what Season 2 missed as much as I loved it. There were a few questions people had on Season 2, and Season 3 actually offered some of those answers. In addition, while I said I like it when the show takes risks, it did something in which could have been inappropriate for kids, but were handled so well. The talk about fear, as shown in both the Crystal Empire and Sleepless in Ponyville. It established the way you think about what really fears you. It's a draft that we all face in life, and to its advantage, it helped this series raise some levels on what challenges to face. And even though the fandom was very skeptical on alternating character arcs, I have to give the staff credit for actually pulling this off and doing it well, even if people disagree with me. The fandom had their own fears on that, which couldn't be any more coincidental. And of course, we're now cut back to Twilight as an alicorn, and the one big question narrows down to this. Since she's now a princess, what am I to expect on Season 4? What is there I hope to see? What can we all hope for? Well, on the one hand, she's going to be taken in the direction of bigger responsibilities and new challenges. So I expect she might make political acts that could mostly be cost-effective. Potentially, there could be an episode where she can make her friends jealous because of her arc, or she'd get pressured on something she may be forced to choose over them, which can also establish another sense of proactivity. Additionally, her actions might exceed their motives, or the worst case scenario is if the main six are completely overshadowed throughout the whole season, which I seriously hope not. I also hope to see more of Celestia and Luna often now that she is a princess and she could have more interaction with them. I seriously want answers on them, since they have so much mythological background that I've wanted to hear about it, as well as possibly many others. Plus, she may be open to explore more of Equestria, which sounds really exciting as it would expand the mythology, which isn't a good way to treat young viewers as adults. For anything else aside from Twilight, I normally expect more character development and more challenges for them to encounter. In addition, I'm interested in knowing more about Princess Cadance and Shining Armor, since there was so little detail on them. Plus, I hope to see more of Discord and what he would do throughout the series as well, since now he was reformed, and hopefully provide more backstory on him and Celestia. Trixie of course can't be forgotten. Is there more redeeming ability she'll have to earn? Are we going to see Gilda again? Are we going to see Queen Chrysalis again, but with a vengeance? These are the many questions that have yet to be answered for me. But with all this said and done, while I have my own beliefs, it's really best that we keep our expectations blank, as accountable as it is to estimate what could possibly happen. So getting to the bottom line here, as Season 3 may be under the inferiority so far, not all of it was bad. As I pointed out, there is credit to be given, and that's something to take for granted and not dwell on the shortcomings all the time. So for all else, all we could do is wait and see what happens. Our expectations could be what the season offers, or it wouldn't. I am, needless to say, very trusty on the staff, so I'm not too worried here. We do have to wait for winter as it arrives for Season 4, so that gives us plenty of time to cool off. Plus, we get 26 episodes again. So until next time, best of luck to the staff on Season 4.